Okay, in this session we want to discuss finding the cube of a binomial. Excuse me. Okay, and what we expect to see is something that would fit the pattern of a plus b cubed. Alright, so in other words, let's say you had a problem that looked like 2x plus 5 cubed. Alright, now excuse me, the form that you see here, a plus b cubed, simply wants you to understand that a is just the first term and b is the last term in the binomial. Alright, and that there's actually a pattern that you can apply. So if you have a plus b cubed, then your answer is going to be whatever the first thing is, cubed, plus 3 times the first term squared times the last term, plus 3 times the first term times the last term squared, plus the last term cubed. Alright, so now we've already said that a is 2x and that b is 5. Alright, a is 2x, b is 5. So if we were given this particular problem, we can plug right into this formula here. Okay, and once we do that, we would get a cubed plus 3 times a squared b plus 3 times a b squared plus b cubed. Alright, so that would be us plugging into this right here. Alright, okay, so that would be us plugging into this, and so we'd find that 2 cubed is 8, so you'd have 8 x to the third. Alright, 2 squared is 4, 3 times 4 is 12. Right, this 3 times the 4 I would get 2 squared. 3 times 4 is 12 times 5. 12 times 5 is 60, so 60x. Actually, x squared. Okay, here 3 times 2 is 6, 6, and you have 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, so that would be what, 150 plus 150x, because it's 25. 5 squared is 25 times 2 is 50. 50 times 3 is 150, and you still have your x, and then you have 5 cubed, which is 125. Okay, so again, if you were given the problem 2x plus 5 all cubed, you would get 8x to the third minus 60x squared. Excuse me. Did I write this down wrong? Hold on, let me see. Double check my signs. Wait a minute, looking. Something's not making sense here. If I had that, yeah, this should be what it is. Alright, let's double check. So we have that. Now, you might not necessarily remember this formula, but we do understand what it means to cube something. Okay, so if we're cubing, then that would be like saying 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. Alright, cube, which means to do it, multiply 2x plus 5 by itself 3 times. Excuse me. So we could do the first two by doing FOIL. So first times first, give me a 4x squared. Okay, outside would give me 10x, inside would give me 10x, so that'd be plus 20x. Last and last would be a 25. Then I could take that, which is the answer here, and multiply it by the third 2x plus 5. So I could say this 4x squared times 2x plus 5. Then I take this 20x plus 20x times 2x plus 5. Then I take this plus 25 times 2x plus 5. Alright, when I multiply those, I get 8x to the third. Multiply these, I get a positive 20x squared. Here, I get 40x squared. Here, that's 100x. This will give me plus 50x, and that will give me plus 125. Combine like terms, which are here and here, here and here. That gives me 8x to the third plus 60x squared plus 150x plus 125. Alright, so if you see this right here that I got from multiplying it out gives me the same answer that I got here, if you notice, when I just plugged into the formula. Alright, okay, so just showing you how if you're able to remember the formula, plugging into the formula gets you there a little quicker, but you don't have to, as long as you know how to handle what it means to take a binomial and cube it, which means to write it that many times. In this case, if you cube in 3 times and multiply it all out, you still get the same answer. Okay, so it's not a big deal if you don't memorize this particular formula here. You still get where you're trying to go, still get to the same place. Okay, alright, so let's try the next one. Let's try subtraction now. Okay, now we just did addition, so now if we're given subtraction, alright, so in this case now we're saying a minus b cubed is going to equal a cubed minus 3 times a squared b plus 3 times a b squared minus b cubed. Alright, so now it's going to fit this formula. Pretty much the same as addition, except here and here you'll have minus signs. Okay, so you'll do subtraction there. Alright, but other than that, pretty much the same as what we did for addition. So in this case, let's go with a problem like here, something basic. Let's say x minus 2 cubed. Okay, so in this case, my a is x and my b is 2. So I'm looking at saying a cubed minus 3 times a squared b plus 3 times a b squared minus b cubed. Now, one thing I want to point out is, don't worry about, even though you see this is a minus 2 here, don't think that b needs to account for this sign that's in front of this 2. Alright, the sign is accounted for in the formula. So even though it's x minus 2, the a is just the x and the b is just a 2. Don't worry about the minus sign. Alright, don't worry about saying this is a negative 2. It's just 2. This minus sign right here, the effect it would have by writing this as a negative 2 is taken care of when we write this minus sign right here and this minus sign right here. Okay, so again, the a is just the x and the b is just a 2. Alright, so again, if we follow the formula, we would have x cubed minus 6x squared, 3 into 2 is a 6, x squared, plus 2 squared is 4, 4 times 3 is 12x, then minus 8. Quicker if we know the formula. However, if we do not know the formula, again, this is the answer, we're finished. But if we do not know the answer, then we can just take this and write it out. Right, x minus 2 cubed. So there it is, writing it 3 times because of that 3 right there. So if I FOIL the first 2, just looking at the first 2, FOIL those, I get for my first x squared, outside is a negative 2x, inside is a negative 2x, negative 2 and negative 2 is a negative 4x. Then last is 4. So here's my answer for multiplying the first 2 binomials. That times the last, x minus 2. Okay, so now I'm going to take my x squared times x minus 2. Then I'll take my negative 4x times x minus 2. And now I'll take my positive 4 times x minus 2. So this gives me x to the third minus 2x squared minus 4x squared plus 8x plus 4x minus 8. These are like terms, these are like terms, combine them, get x cubed minus 6x squared plus 12x minus 8. Alright, so here's your answer. This is going the long way, but you see you still get the same answer that you would if you plugged into the formula. So no big deal whether or not you memorize the formula. If you do, you see you can get to the answer a little bit faster, less work. However, if you don't, the long way still gets you where you're trying to go. Okay, so that will conclude our session on finding the cube of a binomial. We covered addition with the first example. We've covered subtraction with this example. Alright, so as always, if there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. At this time, we will conclude this session.